You are listening to Jambo Radio. You can now download the Jambo Radio mobile app on your smartphone from the App Store, Google Store, or Play Store. You can now use our Jambo Radio app on your smart mobile phone or device to contact us and also send us your song request. Now it's time for our weekly magazine show, the BB African Magazine.
Hello everybody, welcome to BB's African News and Magazine show on Jambo Radio, the show that focuses on all things positive coming from the Scottish African diaspora and African continent at large. We have a fantastic show planned for you today. We're all here. I'm here, Baron's here. Baron, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, we're ready to do it. We have topics, we have spotlights, we have history, we have current affairs, we have everything planned for you, all set to the amazing dulcet tones of Chike. Chike is the artist of the day. You know what to do if you want to reach us. You can always type in Jambo Radio in Scotland, the three magic words I say, and you'll find us on all social media platforms. If you want to comment on anything you hear on the show, you can always leave a comment on the Facebook live page or the YouTube live page of Jambo Radio Scotland. Or if you're brave enough, you want to call in live into the studio, please don't hesitate. The number is 0141 530 2787. That's 0141 530 2787. If you want to contribute, if you have an opinion, if you have a dissenting opinion, we will be ready to hear, to listen to you and talk with you. So here we are ready to go. But before we start our first news item, let us just take a deep breath and relax a little bit. Here is If You Know Love by Chike. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Calling me the sugar where they are tea, calling me the honey where they are bee. Anything you tell me I they believe her. Showing me around like I lost my way, telling all your friends and I me be bail. Baby see me I don't they believe her. Tell me make I know now. If you show me make I know now. If you don't show me make I know now. If you don't love me, tell me, make I know now. If you show me, make I know now. If you don't show me, oh, make I know now. If you don't love me, oh, make you don't talk, say you love me, oh. Aye. If you don't need me, oh, nobody talk, say you need me, oh. I take this love oh seriously, oh. Baby, oh, make you not play me, oh. Nobody talk, say you love me, oh. Don't play me. Calling me the sun where they bright your day, calling me the joy where they crash your pain. Anything you talk, baby, I they believe for. Nobody they agree to they toss me again. When they wanna come, you they block their way. Everybody don't sabi me with you. Oh. Tell me, make I know now. If you show me, make I know now. If you don't show me, oh, make I know now. Tell me, make I know now. If you show me, make I know now. If you don't show me, oh, make I know now. If you don't love me, oh, make you don't talk, say you love me, oh. Aye. If you don't need me, oh, nobody talk, say you need me, oh. I take this love oh seriously, oh. Baby, oh, make you don't play me, oh. Nobody talk, say you love me, oh. Before we go further, tell me now I wanna know. They cannot go fall down low, I wanna know. They cannot fall down low. Do you have another, oh, I wanna know. Am I the only one? Am I your number one? If you don't love me, oh, make you not talk, say you love me, oh. Aye. If you don't need me, oh, nobody talk, say you need me, oh. I take this love oh seriously, oh. Baby, oh, make you not play me, oh. Nobody talk, say you love me, oh. If you don't love me, oh, make you not talk, say you love me, oh. If you don't need me, oh, nobody talk, say you need me, oh.
How beautiful was that? You must admit that was a gorgeous song. That's If You Know Love by Chike. He makes Pigeon sound so gorgeous. And we're going to have him peppered and sprinkled in throughout the show. But right now, we're going to talk about our first news item, and that is some Scottish news before we move on to the African news. So, did you hear, Baron, did you hear that Donald Trump's son, Eric, came to Scotland last week?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he flew in on his dad's personal jet. And he met with the Scottish First Minister. So let's hear the story and then we'll talk about it. So Scottish First Minister John Sweeney met with the US President Donald Trump's son Eric at Bute House in Edinburgh last week. Eric is a senior executive in his father's business, the Trump Organization, which owns golf courts and resorts in Ayrshire and Aberdeenshire. The meeting took place over tea and biscuits, it said, and to have lasted about 50 minutes and solely focused on Trump's golf resorts, according to his son. It comes after the First Minister said he did not think it would be appropriate for Donald Trump to be offered a second state visit to the UK, which of course will start in Scotland. Trump Tunbury, the resort in Ayrshire, was vandalized by a pro-Palestinian group over the weekend. Red paint was daubed on over one of the buildings, and the words "Gaza is not for sale" was sprayed across the green, and another green was appeared to have been dug up. So after the meeting, which included Sarah Malone, the executive VP of Trump International, the Scottish government said the First Minister regularly meets with business people. A spokesperson said the meeting with Mr. Trump provided an opportunity to discuss Scotland's investment potential, and the First Minister was pleased to hear about the company's continued commitment to Scotland, in particular Aberdeenshire and Ayrshire. Eric Trump said the meeting was very warm and friendly, and he was thanked for the Trump Organization's investment in Scotland. We did not discuss Scottish or US politics, but concentrated on golf. It was a very positive and constructive meeting about business and investment. The Scottish Greens called the meeting totally inappropriate and argued it sent a terrible message. So what do you think, Baron? Do you think we should be entertaining, I know they have some investments in Scotland, but do you think we really should be entertaining anything to do with the Trump Organization, especially since we feel like they do not mirror Scotland's more progressive ideas?
I don't know. Is it still part of foreign policy or?
I mean, the thing is, the government will always, entertain people, business people. That's a normal thing. It's not always about politics. Sometimes it's about, business people investing in your country, business people bringing potential deals, things like that. So the First Minister will have all kinds of meetings with all kinds of people from different, industries. But it's so close. The way Trump runs his political career on the White House, and it's not very separate from the Trump Organization, and he has made that clear. He has advertised for Elon Musk. He has advertised his own products that he's selling even while being a sitting president, which is insane because, in the past, the normal way to do things was you divest yourself from your businesses when you become the president of the United States. But he has not. I mean, everything is upside down, as we know, with this administration. But Eric Trump coming over and having a meeting with the First Minister is not, on its own, it's not abnormal. But when you see the way they run their things and how closely they include politics in everything, then you can think, their political leanings don't really dovetail with the Scottish way of doing things. So do you think John Sunil was right to have entertained the meeting, or do you think he should have just not, met with him directly?
So first, is it what kind of meeting is it? Is it like a state meeting?
It was just
meeting?
a business meeting to discuss the investment that the Trump Organization, according to how they blew things up, the colossal investment that they put into Scotland. So they have some resorts, they have some Trump and some golf resorts and things like that. And it is what it is. They do have some golf resorts in Scotland. So they were discussing how committed they are to their businesses in Scotland.
Yeah. Well, what I mean is, in what capacity is Eric Trump acting? Is it?
He's the VP, I believe. He's the VP of Trump Organization, Trump International.
Okay, so
he's acting.
So the Scottish First Minister is not directly talking to him like a representative of the president.
No.
Yeah, so it's more like business with the Trump company. Not okay.
Yes.
So,
but at the same time, like I said, they run their company. They're not completely divested from politics. The way they run their company, they use the opportunities they have in their political lives to get opportunities for their company. You know, with the
Yeah.
Saudis, with, you know, getting, when his sister was a U.S. attaché at the White House, she had all kinds of, you know, dealings with the Chinese, and she made a lot of money based on that. So they don't usually divorce the fact that they're in politics from their business, which is not normal in normal terms. But I don't know. Do you think this, and the Greens calling this a totally inappropriate meeting, do you think they have any leg to stand on, the Greens, the Scottish Greens? They said it sent a terrible message.
No. No, I don't.
And it's just...
I mean, if the meeting is about bringing in business for Scotland, then should be good. Should be good. So if the first minister is doing that just to bring businesses to Scotland, progress as well. So
some people are saying it's hypocritical because he's been quite critical of the Trump organization, the way Trump carries himself, the fact that there's no Trump to come for a second state visit. So to have a warm visit with him at Butte House, why didn't he get the Minister of Business, you know, to have to take the meeting? Why the First Minister? You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Anyway.
That as well.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to the big story of the day. We need to take a break for this one before we attack this one. So, you know about Senator Natasha, what's been going on with Senator Natasha Koti. We'll come back and talk about that. But before we do that, here are Funds. This is Baron's, one of Baron's favorite songs, actually. It's Funds by Chike and I believe Davido. Here we go.
Black for life, get me now, that's a drug, get me one plan. Let's see. Bad shake it. Who you? Bad okay. Girl, make I show you my bank account. Two-Face, I get it plenty to go around. So girl, make you dance when you hear this sound. Now we the poppy all over town. So tell me if you did down, did down. Do you know? Say oh, me tick ball like go. Girl I know. Some things that you do not know. Whether na traffic I be go slow. Baby, I promise I go still show. Spending money, Pablo. I suppose she locates, but I go buy Belgium. My money na alele, high pressure. But it's not she my balaba, put on for high tension. You must apply your tea, big boy, you must buy plenty. Mismanage my funds on you, all I really wanna do is mismanage my funds. You really wanna stop me? Mismanage my funds on you, all I wanna do is Edinburgh got off for the voltage. Tilapia, côté. Bring a goofy with the cocaine. Gobe, you see the bedroom I replay. Find a bacha for my bros. Conquer the streets you see play.
I need your billing up party, all got the one. If I handle this your body, all got so. If you put me for palava, Njebolo if I like. What can a man, who I be fair, ego nebe. Complain. Say my baby, bam, bam, I suppose she locates, but I go buy Belgium. My money na alele, high pressure. But it's like she my balava, put on for high tension. You must apply your tea, big boy, you must buy plenty. Mismanage my funds on you, all I really wanna do is mismanage my funds. You really wanna stop me? Mismanage my funds on you, all I wanna do is mismanage my funds on you. All I really wanna do, I will mismanage my funds. You will wanna stop me. Mismanage my funds on you. When you don't know my problems.
Okay, so Barry, you want to take this one? You want to take this story?
No.
Yeah, I would like to hear him. I'm so glad you're a male, you're a man. So I would love to hear your side, your opinion on this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to break it up. We'll read the story, and then, because we all know what's going on, but we'll read the story to keep it professional, and then we can start to comment about it. So we're talking about the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from the Senate. Nigerian Senate. So Nigerian lawmakers have suspended the senator for 6 months after she submitted a petition alleging she had been sexually harassed by the Senate president. Last July, let's start from last July. Last July, Nigeria's third most powerful man gave a rare apology on the floor of the Senate where he heads. Godswill Akpabio had chastised his colleague Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for speaking out of turn, saying, "We're not in a nightclub," quote unquote. But after receiving what he said was a deluge of insulting text messages from Nigerians, he apologized publicly a few days later. In recent weeks, though, the two have been at the center of a political row that has gripped the country and the world and the diaspora after an interview that Akpoti-Uduaghan gave to the broadcaster Arise TV in last month, in which she accused Akpabio of sexual harassment. She alleged that in one incident, Akpabio had told her that a motion she was trying to advance could be put to the Senate if she, quote unquote, took care of him. In another, she said on a tour of his house, he had told her while holding her hand, "I'm going to create time for us to come spend quality moments here. You will enjoy it." Akpabio, meanwhile, has denied the allegations. And after dismissing her petition on procedural grounds, the Ethics Committee, remember the procedural grounds. Brian, if I forget that, please bring that up. The Ethics Committee recommended Uduaghan's suspension, saying she had brought public opprobrium to the upper chamber of the National Assembly. Some senators argued that her suspension be cut to 3 months, but a majority voted to stick with the 6-month suspension recommended by the Ethics Committee. Women rights activist Hadiza Ado told the press that Senator Uduaghan's suspension was a sad day for Nigerian women. Uduaghan afterwards described her suspension as an injustice that will not be sustained. She vowed to continue her pursuit for justice over her treatment. The Senate leadership later stressed that Uduaghan had been suspended because she had engaged in unruly and disruptive behavior during the session, and not because of her allegations against Akpabio. The accusations have dominated discussions across Nigeria since she first made them nearly a week ago. Many high-placed people and groups have called for transparent investigation. Only 4 women serve in the 109-member Senate. Let me say that again. In the Nigerian Senate, out of 109 members, only 4 are women. And this is a country where there are over 100 million women. The number of women in the 360 House of Representatives have also declined from 22 to 17. So out of 360 members, 60 members of the House of Reps, only 17 are women. Last Monday, Akpoti-Uduaghan railed against a suspension. She was in New York for the International Women's Day. Said this was orchestrated to silence my voice. The action is an assault on democracy. I'm not apologizing for speaking my truth, because she was asked to apologize before she gets reinstated. Women's rights groups have condemned her suspension, and hundreds of women and girls marched in the states of Lagos, Enugu, Edo, Kaduna on Wednesday during a We Are All Natasha protest convened by the Civil Society Coalition Womanifesto. Her suspension and the protests that led to such a shambolic show of shame said a broadcaster. And on Wednesday, 2 groups of protesters gathered at Assembly Ground in the capital Abuja, one backing Akpabio and the other in support of his colleague, chanting "Akpabio must go." Mrs. Ado, who founded the Women and Children Initiative, said, "We've all been following events at the Assembly keenly, hoping that the investigation to Natasha's allegations would follow. All I can say is today is a sad day for Nigerian women fighting for emancipation." Many women on social media and men also expressed their anger over the suspension, with some calling it oppression. During her suspension, Uduaghan will be barred from the National Assembly premises and her offices will be locked. There's more. We'll talk about that later. One male senator said Akpoti-Uduaghan had fabricated the claims because she was angered by her removal as chair of a coveted Senate committee in February. And current female senators dismissed her claims on national TV, while one former senator, we know who that is, we'll talk about that as well, said Akpoti-Uduaghan's claims were a sign of weakness and that sexual harassment only happened in schools. Are you getting all this?
Yeah.
All right. Male senators don't surprise me, says Bakary Yusuf on the reaction. They mansplain everything, even the basic of black and white things, to justify their selfishness. But for the female senators, I'm disappointed. But like all hegemonic structures, patriarchy also has gatekeepers. All right, let's finish this so we can come back to talk about this. Some opposition senators have visited Akpoti Duahan to show support. She also said she received supportive emails from women across Nigeria, including some who are afraid to speak up about their own experiences. In Nigeria, most women who are sexually harassed in workplaces don't even tell their husbands because they're afraid of being judged, she says. As the episode unfolds, more women are praising her bravery, but few think Nigeria's Me Too movement has arrived. Ehimeren said an entrenched culture of impunity was a barrier to justice. The elite Nigerian cannot get justice unless they have alliances with the powerful, never mind the ordinary Nigerian. Okay, so let's break it down. Baron, let's hear your thoughts on this just to start off with. What do you think about all this going on?
So it just shows that everyone isn't safe. So if a sitting senator could be going through something like this, then it's not safe for everyone else. So first, the fact that Akpabio is still the judge of his own case is wrong. The moment there's such allegation against you, you have to step down and let someone else preside over
Correct.
such cases.
Correct.
Or just step down until the court decides whichever way it is. But for him, they're still there and still presiding over the Senate and basically judging his own case. It's not fair.
I mean, it's one of the basic tenets of law of equity. Nemo judex in causa sua. No man should be a judge in his own case.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not even the point. The point is that he could just even have to step down from his seat as a Senate, as a Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
It's that in anything concerning this particular matter,
Yeah.
he should not be speaking on it.
Yeah.
He had the audacity. I mean, this culture of impunity is correct. When they say we have a culture of impunity in our country, it's correct. Because the fact that he, as the named person in her complaint,
Mm-hmm.
is presiding over her suspension, yes, for what was the suspension for? For acting unruly behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said it's not because she brought a sexual allegation against a claim against him, but the fact that he's presiding over her punishment, her suspension terms, and she has to write a written apology.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the one who is laying out the terms. That's not done anywhere. I mean, the audacity must be very cheap these days because that's not done anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And then secondly, openly, you're going to play a tape for us just now, right?
Yeah.
While he was laying out the terms, the second term was she writes a written apology, right? So they're saying she's not going to be paid during the 6 months. She cannot go near her office during the 6 months. She cannot title herself a senator anywhere in the world during the 6 months. She loses all her allowances, accommodations, her security detail, all of that during the 6 months, and so on and so forth. And then when it's time after the 6 months and she wants to come back, she has to write a written apology in order for them to even open the case, okay? And then he who she accused of sexual harassment, he gets to lay out the terms.
Yeah.
The written apology part of the terms, the House was not exactly happy about that. They were not exactly clear, agreeing with him that she should write a written apology, and he behaved like he had hearing difficulties. Could you play the tape for us, please?
All right.
Prayer 1. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpotu-Uduaghan for 6 months for a total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended, for bringing the presiding officer and the entire Nigerian Senate in general to a public opprobrium. With effect from 6th day of March 2025, from all legislative activities forward. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Contrary to the majority decision, the Senate President rules in favor of leniency if a written apology emerges.
Senator Natasha Akpotu-Uduaghan shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration by the Nigerian Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay.
No.
The ayes have it. For the duration of her suspension, she cannot come or be seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly.
Following the ruling, Senator
Senator
Apoti Uduaghan is escorted out of the chamber by the Sergeant-at-Arms, but not without a reaction, breaching one more rule before her exit.
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
A total number of 30 members.
All right, I'm trying to fix my face because I'm completely disgusted by what I just saw. They put off her microphone. Do you see that? And they physically took the microphone out of her hands. But justice, we're watching. Now, everyone who is for women's rights and, the progress that we've made, anyone who keeps quiet during this time then cannot be respected. Correct, Baron?
Mm-hmm.
And let's break it down. So how Senator Itagiwa, former Senator Itagiwa, came out and said that she should not have said he sexually harassed her, that it shows weakness, that when you reach a certain level, when you reach the level of being a senator, you cannot complain about things like sexual harassment. That's for girls in school, when you've not made it. If people are, let's say your lecturer is harassing you and all that, you can talk about it then. But when you climb the ladder and you get to the point of senator, then you should not ever. Oh my God. It shows weakness. It shows strength, actually. It actually shows strength to come out and tell your story because nobody's happy to be exposed in such a way. So it actually shows strength. But these are our brain trust people. These are people who are great thinkers of today. And then you have people outside the Senate, protesting for him. Did you hear some of the things the women outside were saying?
Yes. I saw one clip where the mom was like, I don't have anything against Natasha. So why is something about because he's our person. He's our, like, what?
Some people had already started buying biscuits with the money that they even gave them.
So they don't even know what they are protesting.
They know
for.
they were just busting to protest, and then some women were like saying, Natasha, the level of ignorance just.
Natasha should leave our husband alone.
Yeah, so face her own husband, and he's not going to touch her. Who does she think she is? That's not the point, though. The point is, if someone says that they're being harassed, then you investigate. She took her petition, right, to the House, and they didn't even look at it. Do you know why they didn't look at it, Baron? They said she signed it.
Yeah.
So they actually said they're not even going to look at it or investigate it because she signed it. So their rules say if you sign your own petition, you can sign it, but the person bringing the petition cannot sign it. So she signed it, and therefore they're not going to investigate it. That's number 2. Number 3, do you know all this is just a cover-up? All this is just a cover-up because Natasha has been fighting for her people in Kogi Central for years. Long before she was a senator, Senator Natasha, long before she was a senator, she brought a motion to the House about, the Ajaokuta steel mill. She wants it. It's been there for 40 years. It's never produced steel. It's costing billions. She wants it reactivated. She wants people to get jobs. If you reactivate that steel mill, you get steel. If we produce more than we need, we get to export it. There's going to be jobs created, sub-jobs created. It's going to have, it's going to revitalize that area, and it's just been lying dormant for 40 years. So she's been fighting for that for a very long time. And every time she brings it, comes to the house, the matter comes to the House, he doesn't read it. He doesn't read it, or he wastes a lot of time until, the time is out. And he doesn't get to it, and on and on and on for years. So she's been pushing and pushing and pushing. She's visited him. Her husband has visited him. People have asked him and begged him to bring the motion to the floor. He doesn't do it. And then he told her, listen, if you take care of me, according to her, allegedly, if you take care of me or you show me sexual favors, I will bring the matter to the House. So she's been keeping quiet about that, and she's faced all kinds of injustices, Yeah. And then finally, this was the final straw when he cheeked her again. He keeps cheeking her, but he cheeked her again, and she's like, this is it. One day I'll tell the reason why. Remember, she said that. I'll tell the reason why he's talking to me, he's treating me like this. And then eventually she went on TV and she said it's because XYZ. He's been harassing me. So I think all this has to do with distracting from the fact that is just a money suck that's been. People have been filtering money through and getting money from, and just nothing's going on with that. They don't want to bring it to the House. There is the sexual harassment, but also at the core of this, it's abuse of power. At the very core of this is abuse of power. The fact that she can be silenced in the House, the fact that there are only so many women, or should I say so few women senators in the House, the fact that he can preside over his own case and nobody, not one person in the House has the strength, the courage, strength of character or courage to stand up and say, no, this is not right. Nobody. What are they so afraid of? Do you know it took until, she went to the UN parliamentary hearing last week.
Yeah.
It took until she brought she made a complaint at the UN, and suddenly, people are talking about, suddenly people are standing with her. Suddenly, female senators are saying, oh, yes, we support her. We're going to investigate it. Now you're saying it because she's taking it to the world stage.
Yeah.
Now you're saying it. Why now? Why now? That's too little too late, right? You've shown yourself already. And then so on and so forth. It's a complete abuse of power. Just researching the story, watching what's been happening, seeing the way people think and the way people have reacted in this particular matter is absolutely, it's horrifying to me. Completely horrifying to me that we still have people who think in this way. Secondly, I'm so happy about women who have actually come out physically to, protest and all of that, and some of the men who are standing. But do you know that some the male senators of the House actually banded together last week to say they had complete confidence in Akpabio? Yes. Read a motion of a vote of confidence in Akpabio before he's been investigated. I mean, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
And then also we have people on social media supporting him as well, mostly people that supports the ruling party.
Yeah, I mean that's normal. In politics, you're going to have people who, no matter what, this is my party, so no matter what, I'm always going to stand with this.
Yeah.
But some people who, where are our thinkers? Where are our social justice fighters? Where are people who? There are people who have come up. Don't get me wrong. There are people who are supporting her, of course, and she's supporting herself. I think the first thing we have to change is this mentality that we have that women are less than in Nigeria. Women are less than in Senate. A woman senator is less than a male senator. She was voted in just the way you were voted in. Her people sent her there just the way they sent her there. The way they treat women on the Senate House. If you watch, I mean, it's just oh my goodness, it's absolutely mind-boggling that we're in 2025 and we're still doing this. Should we clear the entire house of bringing in young people? Are the young people even better in their thinking? Are they? I don't know. Because some things you hear some of the young men saying on social media, you're like, who is giving them these ideas about women, I think Nigerian men have to stop waiting for anyone. Nobody can save us. Yeah. The men are not going to save us. So I think Nigerian men have to, you know what? If I do the best, if I'm the best behaved and best, I'm the most self-sufficient and elegant and intelligent woman, and I have no, scandals, and I'm the best, I'm married and I have children, I'm not dating. No matter how perfect you are, they're still not going to respect you. Mm-hmm. Okay? So just be yourself. Just be yourself. The same thing as black people in America, There's so many parallels to be drawn from there, because you can be the most well-behaved and well-dressed and well-spoken black American person, and there's still some certain factions of that society that will look at you as less than, right? Yeah. So if you drop all that and just be yourself and go for what you want, that's what will gain you progress. So I think Nigerian men have to run for office. We have to stop. We need to stop with this, because men are just saying, oh, you're not married, you're not this, you're not that, so therefore, no, I may not be married, I'm still going to run. I may not be this, I may be married, I'm still going to run. We have to run for offices on the local level and on the federal level. Because what is going on? It's 4 senators, Baron, 4 senators out of 109 are female in Nigeria. One of the most female-heavy populations in the world. 4. 1, 2, 3, not 40. 4. And then House of Reps, 17 out of 360. What are we doing? Nigerian men, please wake up, please. It's time. Everybody who's powerful online and who have followers and who are talking politics and everything, please put your money where your mouth is and run for office. Run for office and don't let anybody scare you out of it. It's time. It's time. Look at what's happening. If Natasha was not a strong person, she would have been completely swept away by this. Completely and totally swept away by this.
And again, it's not just about running. Is when they run, are the women going to vote for them? Because we see.
Because the way some of the women think, you're like, are you serious right now?
We see campaigns where they'll wear matching outfit, matching uniforms to go support one candidate.
And then when it's time.
Yeah.
But still, that shouldn't stop you. Run for office, make a noise, make a big noise, and then use the social media, because social media is so strong. Use social media, use your followings, use whatever you have at your disposal, and run. And do not let the men run you out of town. We need to do this. Anyway, we'll be following this story, listeners. We'll be following this story and see where this goes. I'm happy that Senator Akpoti Duahan is not taking it lying down. She's fighting for it. And I think her beauty also is, it annoys some people. Do you figure, Varun, sometimes? I think her beauty annoys some people, because for the men, she's like, oh, she's so beautiful, and yet she's so strong. They want you to be beautiful and mute. Stay there and just look good. And then for some of the women, maybe she's really too beautiful and they're not happy with that. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of this. It doesn't make any sense. But we'll be supporting her from here, and we'll be following the story for you listeners. If anybody has anything to say or you want to add to this story, please do not hesitate to leave a comment on the Facebook or YouTube live page, or call the studio 0141 530 2787. But is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Yeah, just me being disappointed, because Akpabio is my statesman. It's disappointing. I can't lie.
Too much power. Much power. These people, they get into office and it just completely just turns their brains around.
Yeah.
Okay, here is, to calm us down after all of this, here is the beautiful, beautiful Roju by Chike. It's beautiful.
Obozi gini ka nachono Imana chukwa gozi gomo Onya no me you me. What am I looking for? Say my God, it don't mess me up. He giving me you, giving you me. Obozi kife la chasha so Obozi kife mi chasha me. My baby, you know say you got love for me. I do go. When I call your name, shakara for me. No, man. I go be your, you go be my Julie. No, man. I go be your, you go be my Julie. Give me your heart, I no go run away. Show me your love, I no go use you play. Carry me, go me, I go follow away. Follow you, oh. Me and you. Okwamona, keep my baby. Me and you. Okwamona, keep my baby. Opposite keep and la just so. Opposite keep and me just me. My baby, you know say you got love for me. I do go. When I call your name, shakara for me. No, man. I go be your, you go be my Julie. No, man. I go be your, you go be my Julie. Uju. No, man. I go be your, be my Julie.
you're not looking at me. I'm dancing. I love that song, by the way. Okay, listen, it's not by mistake I'm choosing all Chike songs because everything he does is fantastic. I think I left a couple of slots for you in the end. You can choose what you like later on. Right, this is a story that might divide people. I don't know where you're going to stand on this. I'm so curious to hear what you think, Baron, and what you think, listeners. So let's talk about. Did you hear about the African UN judge who was convicted last week of keeping a slave?
Yeah.
Slave, quote unquote.
Yes, I did, but I didn't really get the full details.
Right. I was going to do a story last week that she had been arrested. And then before I could turn around, we didn't get to the story last week. Before I could turn around, she had been convicted. So it's gone. Now, the story has progressed a little. So let's read it and then we'll talk about it, yeah? So a United Nations judge has been convicted of forcing a young woman to work as a slave. Prosecutors said Linda Mugambe, who took advantage of her status over her victim by preventing her from holding down steady employment while forcing her to work as a maid and provide childcare for free. The 49-year-old, who is also a High Court judge in Uganda, was found guilty of conspiring to facilitate the commission of a breach of UK immigration law, facilitating travel with a view to exploitation, forcing someone to work, and conspiracy to intimidate a witness. She'll be sentenced at Oxford Crown Court on May 2nd. My goodness. In footage released by Thames Valley Police, Mugambe appeared shocked when an officer said he was arresting her under the Modern Slavery Act. She then had a conversation with the officer in which she said, "I'm a judge in my country. I even have immunity. I'm not a criminal." Asked to reaffirm that she had immunity, Mugambe said, "Yes, I have a diplomatic passport." The conversation ended with the defendant saying, "I came here as a student. I don't need anyone to work for me. I didn't come with her. She asked me because she worked at my home in Kenya. She asked me." So gasps were heard from the public gallery as the verdicts were given, and the court was cleared when the defendant appeared unwell. Carolyn Huffey, Casey, prosecuting, told jurors during the trial, Lydia Mugambe has exploited and abused her alleged victim, taking advantage of her lack of understanding of her rights to properly paid employment and deceiving her as to the purpose of her coming to the UK. She alleged Mugambe, who was studying for a law PhD at the University of Oxford, had conspired with Ugandan Deputy High Commissioner John Leonard Mugerwa to arrange for the young woman to come to the UK. Prosecutors said the pair participated in a very dishonest trade-off in which the High Commissioner arranged for the Ugandan High Commission to sponsor the woman's entrance to the UK, and in exchange, Mugabe would attempt to speak to a judge who was in charge of legal action that he was involved with. Anyway, she was also found guilty of conspiring to intimidate the woman to withdraw her support for the prosecution and to have the charges against her dropped. That's the bad part. Mugabe's trial heard that she had the intention of obtaining someone to make her life easier and at the least possible cost to herself. However, she denied forcing the young Ugandan woman to do household chores and said she always treated her with love, care, and patience. The young woman Mugambe tricked into coming to the UK cannot be named for legal reasons and told the court she previously felt lonely and stuck after her working hours were limited. Mugambe was appointed to the UN's judicial roster in May 2023, 3 months after the police were called to her address. Thames Valley Police Commissioner for Oxfordshire said Linda Mugambe is an extremely qualified lawyer, a Ugandan High Court judge, and a U.S. Criminal Tribunal judge. After the offences had been reported to the police, Mugambe tried to evade justice, according to him, by repeatedly claiming she had diplomatic immunity due to her status. However, any immunity she may have enjoyed as a UN judge has been waived by the Office of the United Nations Secretary General. Wow. That's big, actually. All right, Baron, let's put this together. Do you think, so you can look at it in two ways, okay? Modern slavery, you cannot deprive someone of their rights to movement, free movement, their rights to their own salary, their working rights to not to be fed, to be housed, to be clothed if they're working for you, and to appropriately compensated, correct? However, if your sister or your friend or somebody you knew back home says, "Oh, auntie, you're in England, I want to come. Can I come and stay with you?" Right? Mm-hmm. How everybody's auntie, right?
Yeah.
You're in England, sponsor me. I want to come to England. I'll stay with you. I'll take care. I'll stay with you. I'll take care of your kids and all that. And you say, okay, fine, come over. You come over. They're staying with you. They help you with some household chores. They're not like you're not forcing them. You're helping you with the household chores, helping you with the kids, taking them to school, dropping them off. Okay. Do you think, in the way we think as Africans, okay, that kind of informal arrangement that we've had forever and ever, do you think that is tantamount to modern slavery? Although it will fall, this case does fall within parameters of modern slavery as it is defined in UK law.
Yeah.
But according to our own informal, culture of informal arrangements like that, do you think they are right to convict her? Do you think she's done anything wrong per se?
Well, first, she's not back home where these things don't really apply. She's here in the UK where someone is doing some kind of work for you. The person has to be paid with the minimum wage, and so you can't just apply the same system that we have back home here. It doesn't make sense.
Because back home we have like two kinds. So
Yeah.
we have two kinds. So like when I was growing up, we had our housemates, okay, who were paid every month. Okay, they had a salary and they were paid. Then we had my aunties, my dad's cousins. Over the years, throughout my childhood, I've had several aunties and cousins and big aunties from the village, from the town, wherever, stay with us for whatever reason. They were going to school, they wanted to come to Lagos, whatever.
Yeah.
And they would help with the household chores, they would help take care of us. They weren't paid because they weren't house girls, housemaids. So they weren't paid a salary, but in almost like an exchange for living with us and having, access to certain things, they were helping with the family. They're part of the household. They're not a child of the family. They're not working, but they're part of the household and they're helping with household chores.
Yeah.
And there was always agreed that you're not getting a salary, but you're part of the house.
Yeah. So I'm guessing in that case they needed somewhere like maybe like an accommodation, somewhere to stay. Maybe they're going to school. Yeah. But in this case, what did she bring the person from Africa to do? Is the person here for uni, for example,
Well,
and then just need somewhere to stay and then has to help out with things in the house, or is the person's what's the main purpose of the person being here? Is it just to help her?
Yeah, I think that's where she messed up.
Yeah.
Because but said the girl was working, but then the girl said she was working at first when she came here, but the woman said, you're working too much. By you working, I'm paraphrasing, you're kind of like cutting into how you can help me. So work less. And I think that's where things started getting a bit murky.
Yeah.
Secondly, when a case has been brought, if you try to talk to the person, it could be looked at as anything can be intimidation. Anything can be defined as intimidation. Yeah. The second someone has brought a case against you, even if you go to them and say, even if I go, like, just gently, I can say, Baron, please now, this case you brought against me, please drop it and everything. You know how it is. I brought you here. Don't you have any pity for me? Just that conversation I have with you can be looked at as intimidation, me trying to make you, coerce you to drop the case.
Yeah.
So she might not have gone to her to intimidate her with a gun or, to threaten her or anything. It could just be a simple conversation. And once you report that to the police and said, she did come to visit me, she came to see me, and she said I should drop the case, that's intimidation. So she should know that as a high court judge, she should know that,
Yeah. And again, is a time for everyone else to learn. So if you're bringing someone from back home, you know that things are different. So what's the purpose? Is the person coming for uni, and then are you just accommodating the person
and they're helping,
expecting a bit of help? So you can't just tell someone, don't work less, so you can do more stuff from your home.
And the thing is, you have to get your papers in order because things are changing now. The way we interpret things, the way the authorities here interpret things are two different things. The fact that this was explained in court, that she stayed with me, I treated her with love, patience, care, all the evidence she put, I'm a UN judge, I'm this and that, and they still convicted her. That's showing that the authorities are not playing around. Yeah. But a lot of times, believe it or not, some of these people are targeted by groups, human rights groups. I've had personal experience, with people I know who had someone working for them, and then she was approached and she was told certain things. Say you're not allowed to sleep, Say you don't have a room of your own, you have to sleep in the living room. Say you don't eat with the family. There's certain things, and it read almost like it was a script that had been used several times. And then that was in her petition, and they had to prove, no, we pay her with this, we had to pay. So that happens sometimes. And I've had friends who've brought people from Nigeria to work with them, and they came to the house, and luckily enough, my friend had the papers. She had a proper visa, a working visa for her. She had been putting her money in a bank account and all of that.
Yeah.
That's what saved her. Somebody else I know was this close to going to jail. This close. Guess what saved her? The text messages. So the girl had come to stay with her and had gone back to Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the girl had been texting them saying, Auntie, I miss you, and Uncle, I miss the children. Please let me come back and stay with you and help you with the kids. Please let me come back. And she had been texting the woman. And she came back, and then when she got in, she immediately went to report her to the authorities that she was keeping her as an unpaid servant and all of that. It was those text messages.
Yeah.
Because once you report, they take you out of the home, they find a safe place for you because you're being exploited, and that could lead to you getting citizenship later on.
Yeah,
okay?
so
So she was aware.
Yeah.
So those text messages, in fact, that was a landmark case that happened in England as what saved her. Because other people, we're talking right now, there's several Nigerian people who are rotting in jail based on this, not just Nigerian people, all kinds of Africans, based on this modern slavery dilemma. Because the way we see modern slavery and the way the British authorities see it, don't always marry each other. This is insane. I feel sorry. If she was abusing the girl, I have no pity for her at all. However, if it was just like I said, an informal arrangement of come stay with me, help me out, you get a chance to be in the UK, I take care of you, have accommodation, help me with the kids while I'm here for 2-3 years, I posted here, I'm doing my PhD, help me out. Those arrangements have been going on in our community for a very long time.
Yeah.
So honestly, this is a difficult one for me. I don't know. What I do know is, for someone who was a high court judge in her country and is now doing a PhD in law in the UK and was appointed as a judge of the United Nations while she's here doing a PhD, that is high profile. That is a very high achieving person. For this to be the thing that brings them down is mad.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah. So if I mean for everyone else, if you have like some kind of arrangement with someone, just
make it formal.
Yeah,
just make it formal.
Have it documented as well.
Documented, make it formal. I think we're past those informal arrangements are not working here. They may work back home. It's not working here. Just make it formal. All right. So if you want to talk about, if you think they're right to convict her, let us know. If you think they're wrong to convict her and it was an informal arrangement that everybody agreed to, if you think the girl actually went out of her way to involve the authorities so that she could gain something from the system, let us know. And while we're waiting for your call, here is Nakupenda by Chike.
I know you're looking at me, you watch me like TV. You're looking at me 3 times in a row. If you want to say hello, just say hello. I think you look so pretty, you look like spaghetti, like you are needing some love. I don't know, but I've seen that look before. And if you don't say hello, I will say hello. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Oh my baby, so my God. Oh baby, so my God. Oh yeah. Nakupenda, nakupenda. just say hello. I saw you looking at him, but you're the one I'm feeling. But looking at you 4 times in a row, I had to let you know. So I came to say hello. I know you need somebody, don't care about the money. You only need someone to hold you close. And if you tell me no, I'll still say hello. Hello. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Oh, my baby is oh my God. Oh, my baby is oh my God. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Nakupenda, nakupenda. Oh, my baby is oh my God. Baby, baby. How will you know that I'm the one for you? That you're the one for me? If you don't say hello, I go treat you like gold. I go make you my own. I know what you're looking for, and I got it all. I know he has it all.
That was Nakapenda by Chike. Like, the next 2 stories are going to dovetail into each other very beautifully, actually. So the first is, did you hear about what Trump said about Lesotho, the country of Lesotho?
Yeah.
So Lesotho is actually insulted after Trump says nobody has heard of them. Lesotho's foreign minister said on Wednesday that he was shocked and insulted by US President Donald Trump saying nobody has heard of the African country, and he invited him to come visit. Trump mentioned Lesotho in his address to US Congress last week, while listing some of the foreign spending he had cut as a quote-unquote appalling waste. $8 million to promote LGBTQI in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. Ha ha ha. He drew laughs in the Congress. Lesotho's foreign minister, Lehoni Mpotni, said the remark was quite insulting. I'm really shocked that my country can be referred to by the head of state, by the US head of state like that. Lesotho, a mountainous nation of about 2 million people, which is encircled by South Africa, has the highest average altitude of any country and is sometimes called the kingdom in the sky. Lesotho is such a significant, unique country in the world. I'll be happy to invite the president as well as the rest of the world to come to Lesotho, said Mpotjani. He said some civil society organizations funded by the U.S. Embassy in Lesotho did work to support the LGBT community, but the United States also provided important funding for the country's health and agriculture sectors. Trump's administration has cut billions of dollars, as we know, in foreign aid worldwide as it seeks to align spending with Trump's America First policy. Mpotjani said Lesotho was feeling the impact as the health sector had been reliant on that aid for some time, but that the government was looking as to how to become more self-sufficient. The decision by the president to cut the aid is his prerogative to do that. We have to accept that, but to refer to my country like that is quite unfortunate. I mean, Baron, is ignorance ever funny? Is it funny to display your ignorance?
Oh, no. No, it's not.
And then people laughing as well in the Congress, in the joint houses. I mean, America is not showing its best side these days. But, I mean, this is a very important country. It's a very beautiful country. It's a very important country. It's a very historical country. And it's one of the, most geographically unique countries in the world. You know that? It's like super high altitude. It's higher than Nepal, you know? Yeah. And it's one of the few countries that are completely encircled by another country. So it's inside South Africa, but the mountains surround it, and South Africa is all around it. It's right inside South Africa on its own within South Africa. Yeah. So it's extremely unique. And Trump to go, a country nobody has ever heard of, and he made a joke, and everybody's laughing, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Anyway, we're going to dovetail that with our travel segment, actually. So since nobody has ever heard of Lesotho, I thought, why not feature Lesotho in our African travel segment? What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea.
All right, so we're going to do that now. We're not going to play a song. We're just going to go directly into our African travel segment, and we're going to See what all the fuss is about. What is Lesotho? Where is Lesotho? And what do you do in Lesotho? Let's go. By the way, this is courtesy of our friends Vacation Idea, and their channel is on YouTube. Vacation Idea. They made this amazing video about Lesotho, so let's watch it.
There are few countries in the southern reaches of Africa as off the beaten track as little Lesotho. Why? Well, for starters, it's landlocked and entirely encompassed by the popular lands of South Africa, the country, meaning it's not exactly the easiest place to get to. And then there's its veneer, spiked for the most part by impenetrable mountains of stark rock and sweeping plateaus of dusty sandstone, not the easiest place to navigate. But with Lesotho's difficulties, so too come its beauties. Today we share the top 10 best things to do in Lesotho so you can plan a trip and experience all the exciting attractions and activities this beautiful city has to offer. Starting with number 10, Tselane National Park. The undisputed jewel in the crown of Lesotho's national park system comes in the form of the sun-baked highlands of Tselane. Surrounded by the rock-ribbed peaks of the mighty Melody Mountains, also home to the Afri-Ski Resort, believe it or not, the region is famed for its rare woodland habitats and high altitudes of up to 5,600 meters above sea level. At number 9 is the Maseru. Welcoming, stable, small and on the up, Maseru might just be something of the odd one out when it comes to African capitals. Slowly being reconstructed after a period of upheaval in the late 90s, the town is now a charming and characterful place to while away a few days. The most noticeable landmark has to be the appropriately named Basotho Hat, which is actually a gift shop selling traditional Basotho arts and crafts. At number 8, Katsi Dam. Blocking the meanders of the Malabamatso River as it flows down from the cold highlands of the country, the Katsi Dam once reigned supreme as the largest of its kind in all of Africa. And while that superlative has been taken by the Tikis Dam of Ethiopia, there's no question that this dramatic wall of concrete and steel remains one of the continent's real engineering wonders. At number 7, Bakong. Nestled between the dramatic mountains just to the west of the aforementioned Katsi Dam, the little hill town of Bakong is a great place to wax up the walking boots and hit the trails of central Lesotho. In the immediate vicinity, visitors will be able to discover the likes of the Lepakoa waterfall, crashing over the escarpments of rock that define Lesotho's highlands and plumes of mist and steam. At number 6 in our list, Lifofong. The sinewy mountains around Lifofong rise in hues of ochre and snow white during the winter. They conceal the fascinating historic sites of the Modding Valley, which have yielded evidence of human habitation in these parts of Lesotho since at least the Stone Age. Today, visitors can come and explore the unique history of the Lifofong Caves, where a well-rounded visitors center now offers an insight into the old Basotho kings and the ins and outs of traditional Basotho craft culture. At number 5, Thaba Boziu. You could be forgiven for thinking that you'd been transported to the hoodoo-spiked lands of Arizona or Mexico when you first behold this vast and flat stretch of desert-like sandstone that dominates the landscape between the Orange and Caledon rivers. But no, this is still Lesotho, and the 2 square kilometers of elevated space offered by the Thaba Boziu Plateau represents the historic natural fortress of the Basotho tribe, while the spot also served as a stronghold during the Basuto Wars, and against the Boers during the Basotho conflicts with the Orange Free State in the 1850s. At number 4, Mohali. Mohali is a beautiful place. Sprawled over the sculpted mountains right in the heart of the country, it's enveloped by sweeping highland panoramas on all sides. And while there are only a few who come to enjoy the less popular trekking away from Bakaong and Selangane, most these days will flock into the region for a glimpse of the award-winning Mohali Dam. Intended as a backup to the aforementioned Katsi Dam, this awesome structure counts a whopping 145 meters in height and bridges a wide crest on the Sengkunyane River of more than 700 meters in total. At number 3 in our list, Mafeting. Once a hot point of conflict during the gun wars of the late 19th century, and then subsequently a working mill town, Little Mafeting makes its home south of the Basotho capital and close to the border with South Africa to the west. A place at once industrial and historic, it's known for its flair for local Fama music, and has a clutch of good hotels, local eateries, and bars besides. At number 2, Celebathebe National Park. The paradise on the tops of the Melody Mountains, Celebathebe National Park occupies around 68 square kilometers on the very roof of Lesotho. It's actually joined at the hip with the Melody Drakensberg Park National Park across the border in South Africa, and boasts the same breathtaking vistas of rolling highland savanna, wildflower meadows and verdant valleys overlooked by craggy faces of primeval stone. Check out the number 1 places in our list, Semankang. Nestled between the dusty escarpments of the Maseru district, close to the geographical heart of Lesotho as a whole, the little conglomeration of bamboo-top thatch villages and huts that is Semankang might not look like one of the most visited spots in the country, but it is. Well, that honor surely has to go to the mist-producing plumes of the Great Malatsunyane Falls, which can be found roaring over the edge of a tabletop mountain nearby.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's very diverse. Like, it has mountains, waterfalls, all sorts of things. Beautiful. Did you know that they have a blanket that is unique to them? It's called the Basotho blanket. It's like wool, very thick wool, and has patterns on it. And Yves Saint Laurent, actually, a few years ago or so, there was a mini scandal because they literally took it and made their own version and put the Yves Saint Laurent, the Louis Vuitton logo on it and everything, but it was the Basotho blanket. Yeah. And they use it for shirts, for shawls, for all kinds of things without giving credit to the people of Lesotho.
Typical.
Without giving credit at all. And they were like, that's our blanket. They use it because it's quite cold in the mountains. So they use it if you're a shepherd, if you're like just a lady in the in the house, if you're outside. There's trademark. Some of them are blue. They come in different colors. Yeah. But the classic one I think is blue and black. Really, really cool. And Louis Vuitton just said, I like that. I'm gonna make that myself and sell it.
Taking everything.
Hey. Yeah. So that's Lesotho. So if you didn't know anything about Lesotho now, you've seen the beautiful video. There's so many things to do, places to see, and it's just stunning. And don't forget, it's one of the few countries in the world that's completely surrounded by another country, which is a very unique feature as well. Okay, we're going to play some music now, and then we can come back for part 2. Hope you're enjoying yourselves so far, enjoying the show. And don't forget, you can always come back to us with any of your comments or opinions. Here is Forever by Chike.
I know love sometimes hurts, but it's over now. 'Cause when you are around, everything just works. Baby, when you need a shoulder, I'm your shoulder. Even when it's getting cold, I'll keep you warmer. You don't really know how much that you do mean to me. We'll be together this time forever. No matter the weather, this time forever. We'll be together this time forever. No matter the weather, this time forever. You don't even have to try to sweep me off my feet. When I'm having a bad day, you make me smile. I don't know how you get me to laugh, girl, you're funny. If there was any time I hurt you, girl, you know that I'm sorry. Oh, baby, when you need a shoulder, I'm your shoulder. Even when it's getting cold, I'll keep you warm. I'll make you warmer, baby. You don't really know how much that you do mean to me. We'll be together this time forever. No matter the weather, this time forever.
Yo, after we pick a date, after the ring and the cake, after the pastor says grace, after we bring your last few boxes of things to my place in the first 5 years, let's have 2 kids. Gonna need space, move to a new crib. Sometimes I gotta travel to do gigs and make money so we can save for school fees in the next few years. Till we're 10 years together, I know we're gonna face harsh weather. When the rain comes, baby girl, I'll be your umbrella. Nobody can love you better, my girl. Can't promise that I will never hurt you, but I promise to support you and to treat you like I know you're worth blue, even if I don't have the words to. And it's our 20-year anniversary, and you still take my breath and the words from me. You remember when our kids were in nursery? Now they both almost done with the tertiary. 30 years in, we're starting to feel old. Looking at your face, your beauty is still gold. I'm right by your side, your hand I will hold. Never has a more beautiful story been told. And if you get sick in your old age, I promise not to leave till you're okay. I'ma sing till you, read till you, hold your hand and sit by your side for the whole day. Cause that's my wife. Love you on earth and I love you in the afterlife. Girl, I'm gonna leave you never. What I'm trying to tell you, girl, is I'll love you forever, forever.
Baby, when you need a shoulder, I'm your shoulder. Even when it's getting cold, I'll keep you warm. I'll make you warmer, baby. You don't really know how much that you do mean to me. Me.
That was Chike, making all of us say collectively, God, when? When some of us have when. But that was a beautiful song called Forever, in which he outlines, his love for her. Baron, who are you in love with? Do you have a forever?
Not yet.
Or do you hope to get a forever like the song?
We'll get there eventually.
Amen. Yeah. Right, I just thought, it's been a while since we've done sparring with Baron. It's been a while. Do you want to do one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, 'cause I've noticed this thing. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I've noticed this phenomenon on Twitter especially, where people are talking in their vernacular, and then some people, English speakers who don't understand that vernacular, get super angry. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you 2 examples. So after the Olympics last year, a lot of Jamaicans were talking, how they talk in their patois and all that, and they were talking about, all the Jamaican people who did very well, and they're just discussing among themselves. And of course, you see it on your timeline or whatever. And there's so many, I think mostly I'm going to say mostly American people. I don't think it was even English people, but American, not even American blacks, because American blacks are used to, Jamaican patois. They know what it is. We're coming on and saying, what is this language? What are you speaking? Why are you speaking English so badly? I can't even understand what you're saying. It's not meant for you to understand. They're speaking among themselves, and they're getting angry and insulting them and saying, you're uneducated and you're speaking English wrong, and I can't even, it's always from their perspective. I can't even understand what you're saying, and what is this nonsense and all that, okay? That's one. Then last week or so, you know how you have on Twitter, you have people who do like this happened, this story happened, or look at this text between these two people and this what happened, and there was this like full-on text, a man and his girlfriend, I guess something went wrong, and most of it was in pidgin, Nigerian pidgin. And then in the comments you had so many, I want to once again say American people and some British people as well going, I can't understand anything they're saying, so I don't care. Or I can't understand what they're saying, they're uneducated, oh, they're ghetto, oh, they're this, oh, they're that. I'm like, first, how can you, if it's not for you, jump and pass, move on to something else. Why are you so self-involved that somebody speaking their language? First of all, you're not even educated enough to know that there are vernacular versions of English. There are pidgin versions of English. There's Creole, there's Patois, there's Nigerian pidgin, Sierra Leonean pidgin. There are different versions of English that people speak among themselves. You don't even know, you don't even recognize that. And then you have, this self, you place yourself in this, you center yourself in such a way that if you don't understand it, it must not be valid. People are speaking about their matters in their own vernacular, and you put yourself in. When you don't understand it, instead of moving away, you start to insult the people, insult their intelligence, insult their lifestyle, their culture. What do you think makes certain people behave like that? Do you think they're valid in saying, if I don't understand you, you must be uneducated?
No. I mean, it's just like I go on X and I see someone write, or I see a video and the person speaking Yoruba, and the caption is, if you don't understand Yoruba, find someone to translate. And like, I don't understand. I just keep the video. There's nothing. I'm not going to say, oh, why you guys always saying things in Yoruba? What happens to the rest of us? If I don't understand it, I don't understand it. I pass. So,
but it's just. And then why? Because someone can be intelligent and speak pidgin. In fact, pidgin, I think, is one of the most intelligent languages in the world, because the way we break things down is very, very clear, very, very succinct, very intelligent. It might be a broken English, but what's being expressed in that broken English can be extremely intelligent. So you speaking African American vernacular English, you speaking Jamaican patois, you speaking Nigerian pidgin or Ghanaian pidgin does not make you unintelligent. And secondly, it's none of your business. They're speaking among themselves about their own issues. Why, if you come in and you see, oh, I don't really understand it. The other day, or something on Instagram, so someone says, it was a joke, it was extremely funny. This guy was telling a story, and everybody was laughing in the comments and all that. And then someone says, I can't understand what he's saying. But she didn't say it in a rude way. She just says, I couldn't understand a word of what he was saying. So I took the time upon myself to actually say, okay, he's speaking Nigerian pidgin. He said blah, 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 blah. And that's why it's funny. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. I watched it 7 times and I didn't understand why it is I wasn't understanding, because she didn't realize it sounded like English, but actually it wasn't. It was pidgin English. So that's a fair way to say, I don't get it. Am I wrong? Why am I not getting it? And you say, oh, actually, it's another language. It sounds like English.
And again, do Black Americans speak proper English?
Exactly. No, it wasn't even a Black American. I think it was a white American. But
a lot of people don't speak proper English. So why are you speaking English with slangs, and then
honestly, I'm not even going to say I'm not even going to say it's Black Americans that actually have the problem here. It's actually white Americans and white British people who think they own English for some reason. I'm not even worried about you saying you own English, but you coming somebody else's conversation and telling them how they're speaking is annoying you, upsetting you, and then calling them unintelligent. It's just crazy. If you don't understand it, walk away. If you want to understand it, ask.
And again, I think it was last week where King Charles added Davido's song to his list, because he likes the pidgin English, and
So if the king likes pidgin, who are you?
Exactly.
Who are you? The king, the owner of King's English, likes pidgin. You cannot be better. See, my father always says English is the only language in which every man speaks it in his own way. Because they went around the world, they colonized the world, but all those people had diction, had their own languages, and so their mouths are formed in certain ways, the way we speak. Look how in Nigeria alone, look at all the different accents we have on English, because we're using our language, our culture, to speak it. Look how many people in Southeast Asia change V to W. They say very, very, not very, very. Because that's their language. Look at how Hausa people change P to F. Prime fan, you know,
Yeah.
paya, not instead of fire. In my language, we can't say ch, we say sh. You know, if you're educated, you say the ch because obviously you went to school. But if you're like a regular person, you say chewing gum. You not say chewing gum because your mouth is not set up like that. Yoruba people, ot, ama, ed, house, you know, like the H factor. If you're educated, you know, a certain way, maybe you might not get it, but sometimes it could just pop in from time to time without you. So the Jamaicans, the way they speak, you know, everybody around the world speaks English in their own way because they've been made to speak the language. It's not native to their ancestors, but they were made to speak it.
Yeah.
So you cannot force people to do something and then complain about the way they're doing it. And besides, you who are talking, is your English perfect? Can you speak a second language, a third? A lot of these people who are speaking Pidgin or Patois can speak 3 languages, 4 languages under their belt. You can speak just the one, and you're complaining about somebody else. Stop it. So I think it's not really sparring. We both basically agree. We both basically agree with this, but it's a weird phenomenon to me, how you center yourself. You're so important that you can go in someone's conversation and tell them the way they're speaking doesn't align with you. It's not you. It's not for you. It's not for you. Please. And I don't think this will ever stop people from doing that, because if you're so self-centered, they're probably going to continue doing that. But it shows a bit of ignorance, I think. All right, that was sparring with the boys. It was not sparring. We both agreed on the subject. I'm going to find something a bit more tricky the next time, so we'll have 2 different opinions. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Now, before we go to our African Spotlight segment, here is the beautiful, beautiful and sad Out of Love by Chike.
The only one. Say not me, you call your number 1. I thought I was the one. Why did you lead me on so long? Then she said to me, did you even notice that I don't call you anymore? Did you even notice that I don't pick up your calls? See Shoko hold me down. Before I know, that's all she said to me. Oh, Chike. This is hard for me to say. I'm gonna say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you. This is hard for me to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you. No, say me, I do you right. I wonder why you do me wrong. How did I miss the signs? Could I read between the lines? Oh, why? And she said to me, did you even notice that I don't call you anymore? Did you even notice that I don't miss you when you're gone? See Shoko hold me down. Before I know, that's so she said to me, oh, Chike. This is hard for me to say what you say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you. Amalicha ni bugomo, nekwano ni bugomo. Amalicha ni bugomo, nekwano ni bugomo. Amalicha na womo. This one hard for me to take. Oh, Chike, this is hard for me to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you. Amalicha ni bugomo, nekwano ni bugomo. Amalicha na womo. This one hard for me to take. Oh, Chike, this is hard for me to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you. This is say it anyway. I've fallen out of love with you.
Okay. Oh, that's a beautiful song. It's so sad. It's so sad. She fell out of love with him, but he's super handsome and super romantic. I'm sure he'll find another one. Okay, guys, it's officially part 2 of the BBC African News Magazine show on Jambo Radio. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. We can have our African Spotlight, and we have the most amazing history video to share with you today. But before we do that, we have to, of course, focus on amazing things happening on the continent. Every week, we focus on a good news story or interesting story from the diaspora of someone, something, or country doing amazing things. And this week, we're shining our spotlight on the $1.2 billion Grand Egyptian Egyptian Museum, and is opening this year, and it houses some of Egypt's most precious relics. Let me say that again: $1.2 billion US, by the way. All right, you want to hear about it?
Yep.
Let's hear more. So Egypt just announced the Grand Egyptian Museum, GEM, official opening date. Officially, it will be opened this July 3rd, and the Grand Egyptian Museum spans an astonishing 500,000 square meters. That means it's twice the size of the Louvre Museum in Paris and 2.5 times the size of the British Museum, according to organizers. Where are they going to find stuff to fill it with? The CEO of the Grand Egyptian Museum Authority, Dr. Ahmed Gonin, described it as a monumental endeavor devoted to ancient Egyptian civilization. It has been 100 days since I took on this responsibility, and as the opening approaches, I feel a mix of pride and responsibility, he said to the press. Gonim also hinted at celebrations lasting more than a single day, possibly many days or even weeks, with international components being considered. He said, "We're currently preparing multiple scenarios, and the festivities may last several days, perhaps 3 days, a week, or even several months. These ideas are being discussed at a high level by a committee formed by the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, and at an even higher level under the leadership of the Prime Minister." The Grand Egyptian Museum, situated on the Giza Plateau, is easily accessible from the recently opened Sphinx International Airport and the famous pyramids. UNESCO awarded the GEM the prestigious Prix Versailles Award in 2024 for its architectural splendor, underscoring the international recognition the building has already received even before its official inauguration. Gonim revealed that the overall cost of the building was a massive $1.2 billion, with $750 million secured through loans and the rest supported by the Egyptian government. The major reveal, according to organizers, will be wholly Egyptian, building on the popularity of previous events such as the Royal Mummies Parade in 2021. We covered that. And the inauguration of the Avenue of Sphinx in Luxor in 2021. We covered that as well on the show. Indeed, the GM's sheer size is incredible, as its scale exceeds that of the Louvre and the British Museum, making it a genuinely massive institution. Visitors will find an unmatched collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts inside, including King Tutankhamun's entire treasure. Art enthusiasts in Africa and beyond are urged to get ready to see the dawn of a new era in cultural preservation and display. Ancient Egypt has often been the main reference point when interpreting the past and experience of Africa. Egyptian civilization has been identified as the cradle of all human civilization, celebrated for its languages, governance, structure, and a long history of wealth, education, and powerful pharaohs. These monarchs ruled over the lands for several centuries, expanding the kingdom through trade and a strong military force. Okay, so what do you think, Baron? Are you going? July. Listen, you can plan it into your summer holiday, yeah? July 3.
I have other plans.
Are you an Egyptologist, Egyptophile?
No,
Not really?
No, I'm not.
I don't think I am, but I do like anything culture. You know that about me. I do like anything culture. I like anything African culture. I like history and all that. So the fact that it's such a huge building, do you know how big the British Museum is? It's massive, and the Louvre is massive. So the fact that it's twice the size of the Louvre, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Do they have enough stuff to put in it? Like how much? Because wow, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, they had the Avenue of the Sphinxes, and they made a new museum. So they moved a lot of their stuff from the old museum, and they had a whole parade. It was a whole event to move it. They made it into an event rather than just move it from one place to another. They did a whole, ceremony and all that. It was really, really massive a few years ago. So if they've moved all that stuff into those new museums, what is the stuff that's going to go to this new museum? Why do I care so much? I'm sure they have it under control. And nothing I say is going to change their plans. But it's just interesting to me. People think so much about Egypt when they think about Africa, don't they? Or rather, they try to divorce Egypt from Africa, from main Africa, don't they? A lot of people are thinking, there's Egypt and then there's Africa, which is, I think it's a very interesting thing to do. Very interesting thing to do. All right, questions for the day. Should African countries not be spending real money to catalog and promote their own historical legacies? This will bring more tourism and cultural show. So what I mean by that when I ask that question is, we have stuff as well, right? We have history, we have relics, we have artifacts, we have so much history. And I know we have museums, but we don't have like the $1.2 billion museum, you know what I mean? So if you actually really took it seriously and put in the money, the real money to build a massive, to build actual modern museums for our active artifacts, will that not itself, generate its own profit and be able to, and the people, because once you see your culture on display, once you preserve it, see it on display, it actually instills in you a sense of pride, civic duty that could raise your national pride for your own country as well, apart from the money you make from tourism. What do you think?
I think is first, where are they going to? What are they going to fill the museum with first?
We have a lot of artifacts. I know we have the museum in Senegal. We've covered that, the African Museum of Civilization in Senegal. So that has a lot of things in it. And we have museums in South Africa. We have museums in Nigeria, the National Museum in Nigeria and all that. We have all that. But if we consolidate things in Nigeria, say we take Nigeria as an example, and build like a modern, when we wanted to return the Benin heads, they've designed a museum specially for it, for the Benin bronze artifacts that were stolen that are being returned. There's a climate-controlled museum that's has been designed and is being built. I think it should be finished by now for them, to make sure we can preserve it. But if we consolidate all that and build something massive and really have something special that can display not just Benin history, not just Yoruba history, not just Murtala Muhammad's car, all of it, like all the bronzes, the 5 heads, and all the Hausa. I'm sure Hausa people have their own artifacts, Kalabari people have their own artifacts, Ibibio people have their own things, things that are important and special. If we put all of them together in a proper museum, that could be an amazing thing.
That could be a thing.
And if you replicate that across the continent, because what it does is it's a pride thing, isn't it? You see your history displayed and you feel a sense of worth, And for those who are coming up, who are feeling disenfranchised by the system, politics, the government, daily bread, all that stuff, it divorces you from your sense of civic pride. National pride. When you see your history, you know what, I'm from this, these are my ancestors, they did this, they did that. I can see it, not just your modern day things all the time, Anyway, so questions for the day. 2, should African countries not be spending real money to catalog and promote their historical legacies? And number 2, why is Egyptian history so fascinating to the world as opposed to other African and even world stories? That's a big one, isn't it? Why is Egyptian history so fascinating to the world as opposed to other African and even world stories? So those are the questions for the day. We're going to come back and we're going to go straight. We're going to wait for your comments and your questions and your opinions about the story and your answers to the questions of the day. And then we're going to come back and we're going to have our favorite part of the show. But while we wait for your calls, here is the song Soldier by a mysterious singer. Do you know who the singer is, Bar?
I have no idea.
It's Chike. It's Chike. Nothing has changed. Here is Soldier by Chike. Enjoy.
Soldier, oh soldier, soldier, oh soldier. Na mama pikin be oh soldier. Soldier, come home, please don't go to war. Mama there for house, she's been crying for so long. She said, why do you play with bullets? Don't go to war. She said, why do you play with your life? Don't go to war. Don't go fight another man's battles. Don't go to war. Don't go fight a country's battles. Don't go to war. She said, I born you, I carry you for 9 months, so. And I love you, boo. And when I'm old, I want you to be here to take care of me. Soldier, please, oh, please don't go to war. And if they lose you, they only lost one soldier. But if I lose you, I lost my whole damn world. When you're deep at war, if them say make you go the front line, say no, no, no. Now that they eat the hotty pass, disobey the order. No, no. Anybody who won't fight, make it go. No, go. If they lose you, they only lost one soldier. But if mama lose you, she's lost the whole damn world. I know it's a matter of duty. I know it's a matter of honor. She never really liked this job. She said, why play with your life? Mama go cry, mama feel die. Mama go cry, you know go wipe her eyes. Mama go cry, mama feel die. Mama go cry, no one to wipe her eyes. If she lose you, she's lost her whole damn world. Soldier, please, oh, please don't go to war. If she lose you, she's lost her whole damn world.
Hi guys, we're back. That was Soldier by Chike, the amazing singer Chike, and we've been, playing his music all day. I hope you've been enjoying it so far. But now we can have an announcement to make, and then we're going to have our favorite segment of the show. Okay, calling all African journalists. You have 3 more days. 3 more days to take advantage of this. So the BBC Kamla Dumor Award 2025 was launched last week, and you have up until 11:59 p.m. on the 20th of March to apply. Okay, journalists from all across Africa are invited to apply for the award, which aims to uncover and promote fresh talent from the continent. The winner will spend 3 months at the BBC headquarters in London, gaining skills and experience. And the award, of course, honors the legacy of Kamla Dumor, a distinguished Ghanaian broadcaster and former BBC World presenter who died suddenly, aged 41. 11 years ago. The BBC is encouraging journalists from across Africa to apply for the prize, which seeks to promote and celebrate outstanding journalistic talent on the continent. As well as receiving the training, the successful candidate will have the opportunity to travel to a country in Africa to report on a story that has been researched, with the report broadcast to the BBC's global audiences. So it goes without saying that this is one of the most incredible opportunities out there right now. So if you're a journalist, consider yourself a journalist, a blogger, a vlogger, whatever you are, just apply. They can only say no. They can only say no. However, you only have 3 more days to do it. So go on the BBC website, Google Kamla Dumor, okay? Kamla Dumor Award, and just apply. I wish you all the best of luck. Baron, are you applying for this? You're a kind of journalist, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
He's a cyber specialist. Okay, so, but listen, it's an opportunity. If you consider yourself a journalist, a traditional kind of journalist, a print journalist, even a blogger, even if you have a YouTube channel, you're in some way, in the journalistic world, Just apply. It doesn't matter. They can only say no, but it's a fantastic opportunity. Okay? All right. Right now, are you ready with my drum roll? It's time for our favorite part of the show, which is a moment in African history. All right, today we're going to just all relax because it's a video courtesy of our dear friends at Royalty Now Studios on YouTube. They have this amazing way they just tell the history and then show you what the person looked like. We're not going to focus on the part of what he looked like. However, we have done this story, a story on this particular subject in the past. It's the story of Joseph Boulon. Have you ever heard of Joseph Boulon, Baron? Oh, you're in for a treat. He is considered the Black Mozart. Did you hear? He was called the Black Mozart in his time. He was one of the first composers, black composers of African descent, to actually compose and be an amazing orchestra composer back in the day in Paris, okay, in time of anyway, listen, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to play the video. It's going to be introduced and you're going to be fascinated by this figure. And you're going to wonder, Benny, where are the stories of this amazing black people throughout history? And I'm going to say, come on BB Show and you will always find out more of what you didn't know before. So without much further ado, here is the story of Joseph Boulon, the prodigy known as Black Mozart. And here we go.
Today, we'll be talking about the massively underrated and legendary life of Joseph Boulon, Chevalier de Saint-Georges. Joseph was widely considered to be one of the most accomplished men in Europe during his lifetime. With a laundry list of talents ranging from genius violinist to Europe's greatest swordsman, he overcame the social stigmas of his era, becoming loved, admired, and even envied by the likes of Mozart, Marie Antoinette, and even a US president. So let's go ahead and get started. Joseph Boulon began his incredible life on Christmas Day 1745 on the French Caribbean island of Guadeloupe. His father, Georges Boulon de Saint-Georges, whom I'll be calling George, was a wealthy plantation owner. His mother, Nanon, a Senegalese woman renowned for her truly stunning beauty, was the slave and personal maid of his father's wife. Now, even though George was married, and many men of the time simply disavowed any illegitimate children they had, George is said to have legitimately loved Joseph and his mother Nanon. He not only acknowledged his son and gave him his surname, which broke convention for the time, but he also completely provided for them. When Joseph was 7 years old, his father decided that he wanted better for his son. He wanted to make sure that Joseph got the best education he could. So they left Guadeloupe and his mother Nanon and sailed to France. Once in Paris, George hired the best tutors that he could find and enrolled Joseph in boarding school. Before leaving Paris to go back home, George made sure that his son would be taught to be the perfect gentleman. Now, up to this point, although wealthy, Georges Boulon was still considered just a commoner in France. But in 1757, he was appointed as the personal assistant to King Louis XV. He was made an officer in the King's Guard, which granted him nobility and the title of Chevalier de Saint-Georges. It would also allow him to further Joseph's education. That same year, Joseph was enrolled in the Royal Academy of Fencing and Horsemanship. Boulon rapidly became one of the best swordsmen at the academy. The master-at-arms Laboissière had a son who was Joseph's classmate and friend throughout his years at the academy. He described young Joseph as well-built, with great physical strength, supple and slim with astonishing speed. No one else showed as much gracefulness and discipline. By 15 years old, he was beating the very best swordsmen at the academy. By 17, he was regarded by his peers and even Laboissière as one of the best swordsmen in Europe. But there were others that believed a man of Joseph's skin color could never be as skilled as what they would describe as a true Frenchman. Alexandre Picon, a fencing master from Normandy, sent a challenge to Joseph's father, asking him if he could publicly duel his mulatto. Now, this word is used to describe a person who's of mixed African and European ancestry. And although it's now dated, it was incredibly offensive in France. Picon used the word as an insult, and it was taken as such. Joseph accepted the challenge. The match quickly drew a huge crowd, its supporters seeing something bigger in the duel. The crowd found itself divided between people who believed in the superiority of Picant's skin color, and those who did not. Alexandre Picant came to humiliate a young man and prove his supporters right. After all the hype, Joseph would handily defeat the fencing master Picant, and even though it was just a fencing match, it seemed to push public opinion just a little bit in the right direction. Joseph would go on to become a champion fencer. He'd graduate from the academy and earn the title of Chevalier, meaning knight in English. He could finally take his father's title, and for the first time in his life, he was Joseph Boulon, Chevalier de Saint-Georges. By this time in his life, Saint-Georges was already immensely popular, especially with the women of Paris. He was handsome, athletic, intelligent, and graceful. He was the perfect gentleman. He dazzled Parisian society, and his company became highly valued. Before he was 20 years old, two famous composers had already dedicated their works to him. It was these friendships that may have led him to what would become the true love of his life: music. In 1769, bewildered Parisians looked up to the stage and saw Joseph Boulon, the best swordsman in France, playing amongst the violins of one of Paris's finest orchestras. He had never told anyone that he could even play violin. He would be concertmaster within 2 years, meaning he was the best of the violins. By 1772, he was getting standing ovations for his solo performances. The following year, he was named the symphony's director. Joseph's meteoric rise through the music world of Paris would make his celebrity soar to new heights. It was during this time that he began to be called La Mozart Noire, which meant the Black Mozart. Joseph was free to do whatever he wanted, to follow any passion that struck him, thanks to his father, who had never ceased his support of Boulon. But in 1774, Georges Boulon, the original Chevalier de Saint-Georges, passed away at his home in Guadeloupe. In his will, George had left Joseph and his mother Nanon a healthy son, but against his father's wishes and according to French law, it was given instead to Joseph's sister, George's legitimate daughter from his marriage. Joseph was left only with a heart full of grief for the man who had showed him love when most would have cast him aside. With no money to his name, he would have to rely on his own talents to get him by. Luckily, he had many to choose from. Over just the next couple of years, he would participate in hundreds of duels, direct a symphony, perform solos, upstart a genre of classical music in France, compose 20 pieces of music, write comedies, and he once even had a boxing match. In 1776, the Paris Opera was struggling, financially and creatively. Boulon was the obvious choice for the next director. But once again, he was reminded that not everything was about skill, and that his color was something that some people just could not get by. 3 of the opera's leading ladies presented a petition to Queen Marie Antoinette, assuring Her Majesty that their honor and delicate conscience could never allow them to submit to the orders of a mulatto. This immediately became quite the scandal. To save himself and the Queen embarrassment, Boulon would decide that he would just withdraw his name from consideration completely. In response to the petition, Louis XVI took the opera back from the city of Paris. From then on, Marie Antoinette would hold her musicals at Versailles. She limited the audience to only her intimate circle and a few musicians, among them, Joseph Boulon. Boulon would play his violin for them, with Her Majesty playing along on the piano. For the next few years, Saint-Georges would bounce around, charming everyone in sight, fighting, playing, and composing. But what's interesting about this time is that in the summer of 1778, Saint-Georges and Mozart would stay in the same house. During this time, Mozart would write 3 better-known works, potentially with the help of Joseph Boulon playing his violin for him. By the mid-1780s, Saint-Georges became the patron of his longtime friend and admirer, Louis-Philippe II. One of the wealthiest men in France and cousin to the king, Philippe was incredibly important in the story of the French Revolution. A surprisingly liberal man for someone that could be considered as royalty, he was an abolitionist and true believer in democracy. Some historians and even people of the time have stated that he secretly funded riots and women's marches in order to begin causing instability and unhappiness in the poorer classes. His palace, known as Palais Égalité, is said to have been the birthplace of the revolution. During the next crucial years in the history of France, Saint-Georges found himself at the side of one of its main players. because of his celebrity status and charming ways, Philippe began to bring Joseph along on political missions with him. In 1787, Saint-Georges and Philippe would go to England to meet the Prince of Wales. Philippe wanted to garner support in England for the abolitionist movement, and since the prince was an admirer of Saint-Georges and also the future king of England, the opportunity of a lifetime presented itself. Boulogne would pull out all of his tricks. He'd play concerts for the prince at parties and duel with renowned fencing masters from all over England, including a famous woman named Chevalier Dion, a French diplomat and spy in England. She can be seen here with Saint-Georges in this famous painting. To some people's surprise, Saint-Georges and Dion would have a thrilling match, with Boulogne whisking away with a victory. But what makes this match truly interesting is that it had been the second time they had faced each other. The first being many years ago, when Dion used to live in France and identified as a man. Saint-Georges would quickly find himself a favorite of the future king and persuaded him to attend a meeting with leading abolitionists of the time. On the night of the meeting, Boulogne was walking the streets of London when he was ambushed at gunpoint by 4 angry men. Unfortunately for them, all Boulogne needed was his walking stick. The greatest swordsman in Europe arrived a little late to the meeting, with only a bruise or two to show that anything out of the ordinary had even occurred. The meeting would go well and inspire the change of views of many there. In 1807, the transatlantic slave trade would be banned throughout the British Empire. By May of 1789, Joseph had finally returned to France after 2 years in London, but it wasn't the same city he had left. The revolution was in the air. Panic talks began to occur all over Paris about what could happen next. For the briefest moment in time, Saint-Georges' longtime friend, Louis-Philippe, was being campaigned to the people of Paris as an alternative to the current monarch. He was popular for feeding the poor and sheltering them and was genuinely being considered. But before the idea could take hold, Louis XVI would have Philippe and any remaining chance of peace sent away. Within a month, the French Revolution had begun. As with everyone else in France, the French Revolution would completely alter Boulogne's life. Although Boulogne had enjoyed a life with wealthy friends and the company of kings and queens, he had always felt the weight of his color. Life, liberty, and especially the promise of equality would inspire Boulogne to support the revolution. In 1791, he joined the Volunteer Revolutionary Army, rising to the rank of colonel, and would become the leader of the first black battalion in all of Europe, who were simply called La Légion Saint-Georges. The men would fight bravely under Saint-Georges, distinguishing themselves during the Austrian and Netherlands campaigns. Saint-Georges was always willing to protect them from unnecessary death and from harsh orders, and made sure that they were treated like any other soldier. In 1793, Saint-Georges was making his way to a battle with his troops, when out of nowhere, he was arrested and imprisoned. When he asked about the charge, he was told there was none. He was being imprisoned under a new decree called the Law of Suspects. Any suspected sympathizer of the monarchy would be arrested and imprisoned, and since Saint-Georges had performed for the king and queen, his name was put on the list. Over the next 13 months, in what is now called the Reign of Terror, 26,000 people would die from guillotine or in prison, including Marie Antoinette and Joseph's longtime friend, Louis-Philippe. Joseph believed his execution was all but certain, and although he had been loyal to the revolution, he was denied any leniency other than the postponement of the imminent, his own execution. In one final stroke of luck, the people of France had decided that they had seen enough death and turned on the committee that had created this law of suspects. Later that year, Joseph was finally freed. While he was imprisoned, slavery in France had been abolished. A few months before, Joseph could think of nothing but his own certain death, but I like to think that when he heard this news, he thought of his mother Nanon and decided that he was finally content with his life. Saint-Georges would move to a small town outside of Paris, where he would spend the rest of his days directing for small orchestras and playing what he called the best violin of his life. In the summer of 1799, Joseph Boulogne, Chevalier de Saint-Georges, died at 53. Renowned fencer, prodigy violinist, and the first known classical composer of African descent. During his time, he was called La Mozanois, which meant the Black Mozart, but he truly was so much more. A changer of minds and perspectives, he is a driving force for the idea that we are all truly capable of greatness. no matter the color of our skin.
Well, I know what I think. What do you think, Baron?
It's good. It's good. Just a bit disappointed that I died at 53.
53 in those days is like 93 in these days. So don't think of it like that. I know. It's just sad.
I was expecting like 80 or
yeah,
something.
I know. But if in those days there's so much illness and not a lot of cures and all that it's possible that people died much earlier. And they were considered old at that time. That's why they married so early. But he was a prodigy, basically a prodigy. So whatever he did, being a soldier, prodigy, being a fencer, prodigy, being a violinist, a composer, prodigy. He was just one of those people who were just whatever they put their hands to, they excelled in. Blessed. And his father, when telling the story and saying that most people would have put him aside, most people shouldn't put him aside because it's your child, but in those days, you have a mixed race child, you cast them aside, but that shouldn't be the norm, you know what I mean? So his father taking care of him and loving him and providing for him should not be the exception to the rule. It should be actually be the main thing, but we look at it like, his father was so amazing for loving his own son, but that's how things worked back in the day. I wonder if he ever saw his mother ever again. He doesn't mention that he saw his mother because I think once he left Guadeloupe at 7, he never says he ever saw her again. And Parisian society accepted him because he was talented and because he was charming. If he had not been charming and talented and connected, God knows what his life might have been, But yeah, this story is to just tell you that, our people have always persevered, and with just a little bit of encouragement, just a little bit of support, there's so much we can achieve. So much. We just need some support and some doors. Once the door is pried open, we can achieve anything. I hope you enjoyed that history story about this, Le Moussa Noir, Joseph Boulogne, who was a prodigy in Paris and France in the 1700s. And he was of African descent. His mother was Senegalese and his father was French. I hope you enjoy that. We don't have any more time, so we can't do any of our tongue twisters or parables or anything this week. But we'll be back next week and we'll do it next week. But I'm wishing you a wonderful week ahead, a wonderful day ahead, and I hope you've enjoyed the show today. Baron, thank you so much for being on here with us.
No worries.
And I'll be back next week with more, interviews, spotlight, history, stories, and everything in between. Until then, stay proudly African. And to play us out, it's Baron's choice.
So, coming up next is Davido's Kante.
Prince and King Charles, one of King Charles' favorite songs?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Bye, everybody. See you next week.